settle down in the land that we now call easy. Kaddish or Chatz. Gonna bless the wine and wash your hands. Kapas, yeah, Chatz. Let the parsley and break the matzah man. Maki, Rachza. Tell the story, then wash again. Motzi, Matzah. Eat the matzah. Kids singing my shana. Kids singing my shana. Kids singing my shana. Cause Uptown Passover's coming to you. Cause Uptown Passover's coming to you. Cause Uptown Passover's coming to you. Say it tonight and we save your spot. We're sleeping just Ash. Get out! Don't be sleeping just Ash. Don't be slaving just now. Don't be slaving just now. Don't be slaving just now. Don't be slaving just Let me tell you a little story. He said, let my people go. Let my people go. He said, let my people go. Let my people go. He said, let my people go. Let my people go. He said, let my people go. Let my people go. He said, bird and froggies and lights all over their bodies. While animals all angry. I've started to see that that's nasty. Boils, hellfire, and locusts. Killing the firstborn and daughters. Sing it tonight and we sing it tonight. Don't be slaving just now.
Okay, we are here. Hello, Rabbi Snaid. How are you?
What do I call you tonight? Is this like my co-host Rabbi Zack? What's the exact? Never done.
It's the Snaid Blaustein show. Who knows? Rabbi, if this goes well, maybe we have to figure something else out. You know what I'm saying?
Just leave me out of it, all right?
You are out of it. You're not. Everybody's supposed to be muted. Whoever's on the Zoom, welcome to the Zoom, and please enjoy the show from the Zoom. If you are watching on Facebook, thank you all who are there, and we're really excited. I'm really pumped up for this. I've never really been a March Madness type of guy. Believe it or not, I just I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. And hold on one second. I'm just gonna figure this all out. Okay, there we go. So without further ado, we got 4 conferences, Rabbi. Really pumped up about this. There might have been some snubs, I think, but basically we're gonna run through this all. We're gonna go through each conference. What's your favorite conference, Rabbi?
I'm kind of feeling the Seder songs. There's a lot there, kind of underrated, that people think it's just songs, but there's so much depth there that tends to go unnoticed.
Interesting, right? I agree with that. I think I'm trying to figure something else out here to make sure we do this right so everybody can see. Okay.
Are the polls still open?
The polls. So the good question of the polls, Rabbi. So I was, me and my advanced knowledge in social media. So I was told last minute that if you don't have a Twitter account, you can't vote on the polls. So that's a little annoying because not everybody has Twitter. And therefore, instead, there's also on my story right now, all the polls are there. So you can go right now to my story, whether you're on Instagram or whether on Facebook. You can go there and weigh in on all the polls as we go through this. And we're going to go through each matchup. We're going to talk about each team, say a little something on each team. And I don't know, stay tuned because you never know. If you're on Facebook, we might drop a link and have somebody join in for this event. So without further ado, let's first label the conferences. So we got Rabbi Snaid. You already mentioned the Seder Song Conference. We'll get to that a little bit later. What else we got here? We got
the Passover foods.
Ooh, the foods. That's right. Classic. What else? We got the Seder Stuff Conference. I labeled the Seder Stuff. I think we're gonna start with the Seder Stuff in a moment. And finally, we got everything else Seder. I labeled the fourth conference. So we got songs, we got foods, we got stuff, and we got everything else. So let's rock it with the Seder Stuff. It's the number 1 versus number 8. We don't have 32 teams. We have 32 teams. We don't have 64.
On 64, right?
Right. You're the guy. I'm not. I don't know March Madness so well. So okay. So we got 1 through 8. 1 being the high seed. What we think the committee thought would be the number 1, the best, and the 8th seed, which is not the best. So number 1 versus number 8 matchup. Number 1, of course, is the matzah. What is Passover without matzah? So much in the matzah. Why, Snaid? Why does matzah think it's the 1 seed? What does matzah have?
It's fascinating. Matzah has that. Obviously that's the only bread product that we're actually able to eat on Pesach. But if we actually go through the Haggadah, it's interesting because matzah is referred to lechem oni as the poor man's bread. That's how we start out the Seder with. But then if we read the story, it really represents our freedom, that God took us out so quickly. We didn't have enough time for the dough to rise. So the matzah on one hand is poor man's bread, slavery, but on the other hand, it represents freedom. That moment in time that God took us out, we didn't have enough time for our dough to rise. So that dichotomy I always found very interesting.
Right. I once heard, Rabbi, that is really also, it's fascinating because different parts of the Seder refers to matzah differently, right? Like in the beginning of the Seder, we pick it up, we say it's lechem oni, right? This is the poor man's bread that our ancestors ate at the end, right? Ancestors ate. We call it the poor man's bread. And towards the end of the Seder, and we pick it up, matzah, this matzah. Why do we eat this matzah? Oh, as we're running out in haste, that our dough couldn't rise. So it kind of speaks to that dichotomy. Beginning of Gada, it's like poor man's bread. At the end, it's like bread of freedom.
And why do you think that is?
It's a great question. So I think there's probably many, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Rabbi Snaid, but one of the thoughts I heard is that part of the process of the Seder, one of the things we're supposed to have in mind, Rabbi Snaid, I spoke to you about this in the past, that one year, one Seder, I was sitting down, doing the Seder, and I think it was dipping the karpas, the vegetable in the salt water, and I'm just like dipping it, and it hit me as I was dipping my potato in a bowl of salt water, and I stopped and I said, what am I doing? What in the world am I doing? What am I, potato salt water? So part of the Seder is being mindful that we're trying to experience or re-experience our time in Egypt, that we started off as slaves, and we have to feel for ourselves that we ourselves were freed on that day. So in the beginning, we start the Seder, it's poor man's matzah. As we go on to the end, freedom.
That's it. And that's an answer that I would have said as well, which is also, if we look at the Seder, it's fascinating because at the end of Magid, we have the beginning of Hallel. And then after we finish Hallel, which is interesting because why do we take a pause in the middle of Hallel? And the first part of Hallel that we say is representing the fact that we're servants to God, we're experiencing that Exodus, and then the second half of the Seder, towards the end, is when we've experienced that full freedom, the full Hallel, we finish it off. Same type of theme.
Awesome. So that matzah is the number 1 seed. Matzah going against the hard-boiled egg. Hard-boiled egg at the Seder. Some people like eggs, they don't like eggs. Egg at the Seder, sorry, egg. You're the number 8 seed. You're going against matzah. What is the egg? Rabbi, what do you got for the egg?
So the egg on the Seder plate represents the Karban Chagiga, the festival offering that was brought in the temple. But it's fascinating. And I don't have an answer for the full correlation, but we also, many have the custom to have an egg at the beginning of the meal. So at the beginning of the meal, they'll take an egg before we start the matzo ball soup and before we have the Bubby's brisket. I'm just going on the list over here. Before all the classics of our meal.
Careful.
So we'll have a hard-boiled egg. Why? Because a hard-boiled egg is the mourner's meal. Why in the world are we mourning at the Seder? Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the Jewish national day of mourning, many tragedies that have happened on that day, always coincides with the first night of Pesach. So this year, the first night of Pesach is on a Saturday night. That means Tisha B'Av this year will be on a Saturday night. It always coincides. I don't have an answer for the exact correlation. God willing, I will get back to you on that. But because it always coincides, that's why another reason, custom why we have the egg.
Amazing. Okay, so that's the number 1 versus number 8 on the poll. You can find it. Let's see who advances there. Next group here, we got the number 4 seed. Number 4 seed is the maror, the bitter. Rabbi, when you first saw the word, did you call it herb or herb? Admit it. Herb.
I say bitter herb. Bitter herbs. Sorry. Bitter
herbs.
Yeah. I say bitter. No, I say bitter herbs.
Yeah.
I say bitter herbs. Bitter herbs. That's it.
I still say bitter herb. No, bitter herb verse number 5 seed, the afikoman. Afikoman. Rabbi maror, you do lettuce, you do horseradish, you chomp on it. I actually wanted to see if you bring it with you there.
I did not bring it yet, but I do both.
Ooh.
So we're supposed to have a certain amount. So I'll take the stalks of romaine and then I'll put some horseradish in the romaine and eat it like that.
Together.
But as I would ask, Mike, do we recline when we eat the maror?
Do we recline when we eat the maror? Well, we could be bending over in pain. I've seen those.
That's not the reclining.
Well, why would we recline during the maror? Because we're reclining by everything else?
Well, I mean, one reason that we recline, the reason why we recline is it represents our freedom. Maror, which we're symbolically eating to remind us of our slavery, don't go together with that. But also, it's dangerous, right? We lean a certain way,
right,
left, so we don't cover up. So while you're eating maror and you're, we don't want to recline.
That would be quite uncomfortable. Now, Rabbi, on the spot, we dip the maror in the Charoses?
We dip the maror in the Charoses, but we shake it off.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Is going to be at a seed little later on. We're actually going to get to it in the next matchup. But fascinating. Okay, we dip a little bit the maror. How do you dip horseradish? I guess you dip a horseradish. You take a piece.
Well, that's why I do the lettuce. It makes it a little bit easier.
There we go. That's why
it makes it a little bit easier.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
That's it.
So the 5-4 number maror, the bitter herb. I guess it's more self-explanatory why we have that. Reminds us of the bitterness that we experienced in Egypt, going against the afikoman. Now, a lot of kids have gotten a lot of presents over the years, all in the afikoman, bicycles. Because I always imagine the reason. I never looked into it. Imagine the reasoning is because since you got to eat the afikoman, right? It's the last thing in the Seder we eat. It's very important towards the very end. Afikoman, which represents the Paschal offering at the very end, and you'll elaborate on that in a second. And I imagine that if a child realizes, hey, can't go to bed until they have the afikoman, someone go take it, and they're gonna have to give me something for it. That's what I always thought about it. Is that if that's true or not?
No, that definitely is accurate. So you mentioned it. I wasn't sure if we should go to it now or discuss this at the breaking of the matzah, where this custom of stealing the afikomen comes from. It just seems like it's the antithesis of Judaism. One of the 10 commandments, don't steal.
Right.
And then we're going ahead and telling our kids, steal the afikomen. It's just like, yeah, okay, what's going on over there?
Why are we doing that? Yeah, I mean,
We'll save it for the breaking of the middle matzah.
Breaking the matzah. Okay. And for general, if you're watching on Facebook, you can, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to comment along. And yeah, we'll keep it going here. Okay, so that's a 4-5 matchup. Vote for it. See who's going to win. Maror versus afikomen. Then we move on to number 3 seed. 3. So the 1 seed was matzah. We're going to get to the 2 seed in a second. Number 3 seed is the Shank-bone. The bone. Now, some people have a actual Shank-bone. I'm not sure what a Shank-bone is. I imagine it's lamb, a lamb bone. They roast it, and I've seen people use chicken as a Shank-bone. Again, this is what does a Shank-bone represent? It represents
the Paschal lamb.
Paschal lamb. We have it on our considered plate, and that is number 3, the Shank-bone versus the Charoses. Charoses is the chopped up nuts. What
else you put in there? We got apples, we got wine.
You know, I didn't know, I didn't look into it, but I think the Charoses is brought down in the Gemara.
It is.
It brought down the Talmud. I never knew that, and how old that is, and how it represents the mortar. And they have the recipes. It's very fascinating. Wasn't able to review it, but how each one of the ingredients that we put in the Charoses is not like something from Europe. You know, it dates all the way back to the times of the Talmud, which is quite incredible. And it's all about the bricks, the mortar. It's also St. Iconic. It's sweet, but it's bricks. But there's a lot there in the Charoses number 6. Finally, the end of this conference, we have number 2, Elijah's Cup, the famous, iconic Elijah's Cup, verse number 7, the Seder plate. The whole thing, all in one. Elijah's Cup, Rabbi, always a fun time.
Yeah, so, you know, that whole concept, Elijah's Cup, like, why are we doing that on Pesach? It just, you know.
What does Elijah have to do with Pesach?
Well, you know, Elijah has to do with Pesach. You know, some people say that Pesach, which represents we went from slavery to freedom, we experienced that salvation from God. So as the Talmud, the Gemara tells us that Elijah, Eliyahu, Navi is going to announce the Mashiach, announce the Messiah. So we have his cup at the Seder. On the night that we experience freedom, we're also asking, hey, God, we want to experience freedom. Elijah, we want you to come now to announce the Messiah. That's one reason. But it's interesting because that's something we would seemingly want for every holiday. Yeah, so this holiday we experience freedom. I understand that correlation. But there's another reason as well. I know we're not getting into the 4 cups yet, but when we discuss, actually, are we even getting the 4 cups?
Yes, the wine.
The wine. So when we discuss the 4 cups, we'll discuss as to why 4 cups, but there's actually an argument as should there be a 5th cup. And as the Gemara tells us that all arguments that we don't have an answer to, there are many times in the Gemara that it will bring down an argument and it will leave off as we're not sure exactly which way to go. When Elijah the prophet comes, he is going to resolve all those doubts that we had. Which way do we go?
Right.
And therefore, this 5th cup, do we have the 5th cup or do we not have the 5th cup? Is one of those that Elijah, we ask him to come to resolve, should we be drinking the 5th or not?
Right. Now, I just noticed, Rabbi, I looked back. In fact, we left out Elijah's cup. Oh, yeah, the 4 cups. We left out the 4 cups.
Okay, so one of the snubs.
One of the snubs. See, listen, not everybody can make the big Dayenu. You know, not everybody can make the big Dayenu. Okay, speaking of the big Dayenu, let's hop on over, Rabbi, to the Seder Song Conference. Right? It's only a major debate. I got into a fight on Twitter with somebody. It was a bitter battle between Dayenu, which is the number 1 seed, and number 8, who knows one. And believe it or not, people were all for who knows one.
Really?
Yeah.
So, you know,
each their own, but
Dayenu, if we actually, we're not going to do this, but if we actually go through every single stanza and read Dayenu, there are so many questions that come up, which everything is, if God would have only done this, but not that, it would have been enough. And a lot of the things that, if not that, it's like, well, if God didn't give us a Torah, it would have been enough. Well, what?
Right.
If God didn't give us Shabbos, it wouldn't have been enough. Like,
Right.
there are so many questions. We're not going to get into
it. But it's an important question. And I also told them, by the way, on top of that, I said, well, I was kind of leaning towards Dayenu, which is pretty traditional. And I asked them, did the Maccabees make a song about who knows one? And the answer is no. They made a song about Dayenu. And that alone, Rabbi, is a reason why Dayenu deserves to be in the 1 seed.
Correct. That's it. And there's a general question that we should all think about when it comes to Dayenu, which is what do we live in life with that we feel, it would have been enough? Do we truly express our gratitude for many different things that come up in our lives? Do we expect more, or do we actually appreciate what we have and say, you know what, God, thank you so much for all of these blessings. This is fantastic.
Right. Dayenu, right. It's a matter of appreciation, counting our blessings every single day. And whatever we get, we should appreciate it. So that's number 1 seed, Dayenu. Verse number 8, again, all in my story on either Facebook, Instagram. Look at my story. All the polls are there. Vote, have your voice heard. I just see that Elliot Matrani says his favorite thing is Eliyahu's cup. I wonder why Eliyahu Matrani likes Eliyahu's cup.
That's
okay. Either way, number 4.
Wait, I just got one thing over here, because if who knows one, everyone's giving love to who knows one. So it always kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
It always kind of bothered, we get to the end of the Seder.
Yeah.
If we're actually conscious at that time, after 4 glasses of wine, it's late. Who knows one? It's a great song. Do you do ooh?
I was going to ask Rabbi. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Come to my house. Whoever's coming to my house for the Seder, I'm telling you, you better get. Yes, my parents love it. I love it.
How does it
my
go?
Kids are ready.
How does it go?
Yeah, you're gonna record the voice bite, and then we're gonna.
How do we?
So I'll tell you here. So if we think about it, we're asking a question. Who knows 1, 2, 3? It's like, it's really nice that we're going back to first grade.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, like, why are we going back to first grade? Like, why is this such a big song at the Seder?
Right.
So I actually saw a really beautiful insight, which is, after such a night, the Seder is infused with so much holiness, and having that experience, getting close to God.
Yeah.
So when you think of a number, right? If I say 2, so we might think of February or this or that, but after experiencing such holiness, our thought process should be every number is a Jewish number.
You are the commandments.
Exactly. 3, the patriarchs. 4, the matriarchs. Everything is the Jewish number. That should be our first thought, because that is the level that we should be able to attain after going through this Seder.
And what is 1?
God.
One is Hashem.
One is Hashem.
One is Hashem. One is Hashem.
Yes, I know you want me to sing it.
Okay, if you want, here's the thing, anybody out there, if you want to hear Rabbi Snaid sing the song, you have to go to his Seder. That's just the way it works. Okay, number 4 seed, verse number 5 seed in the Seder songs is, number 4 is a Seder intro. The iconic Seder intro. Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz. Right? It's in our minds. When we were young, we remember our grandparents singing the tune. It's a tune that it's been, who knows, I wonder even who made that tune. It might have been sung in the Beis HaMikdash, for all I know. That's how old it probably is. I heard some, there's more of a faster tune.
We do both.
What?
We do both.
We do both. That's right. That's number 4, the Seder intro. What a song. And number 5 is Lashana Haba. Next year in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. So it's the first song in the Seder. And Lashana Haba is not the last song of the Seder, but it's towards the end of the Seder. We sing Lashana Haba at the very end. Where exactly do we say Lashana Haba? Towards
beginning of Nirtza.
Beginning of Nirtza, correct. Thank you, Rabbi. I went a little mind blank there. Those are the 2 songs there. Obviously, epic songs. Please go to the story and have your voices heard. Number 3 and number 6 seed. 3 seed is Chad Gadya, 1 goat. goat, lamb, kid, I don't know, animal, goat.
One goat. Yeah.
One goat. And the story, as the process goes, Chad Gadya, obviously another iconic Passover Pesach song. And number six seed is the Vihisha Amda.
So you know what, this year I thought about something when it comes to Vihisha Amda. You know, we always tend to, there are so many aspects.
Before you say that, I just wanted to quickly read inside the words of Vihisha Amda.
Oh, yes, let's do that.
That makes sense.
That would fit in perfectly with what I'm going to say.
Yes, let's find. Vihisha Amda is in the beginning. Right in the beginning of Magid, I believe.
It's towards the beginning. Yeah, it's right after the four sons.
After Avadim Hayinu, after Maisa, almost there. Countdown after the four sons.
By the way, while Rabbi Blaustein's getting the page, I will recommend, not that I'm a salesman for Art Scroll, but my favorite Haggadah, and this is something that is phenomenal, is right here. The Art Scroll Youth Haggadah. I highly recommend it. Don't be embarrassed because it says youth. This is what I use in my house. It's phenomenal. They do a great job. And I highly recommend this Haggadah for everyone.
Awesome. Great. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Rabbi, for that. Vihisha Amda, and it is this that has stood by our fathers and us. For not only one has risen up against us to destroy us, but in all ages they rise up against us to destroy us. And the Holy One, blessed be He, rescues us from their hands. There's a couple beautiful songs. Vihisha Amda, there's the classic one that people sing, and also the one that Yaakov Shreki made. Both beautiful songs. I encourage everyone to hear that song. It's very moving. So what is it, Rabbi? What is this?
You know, so we tend to, there are so many parts of the Torah that clearly show its divinity, that it had to be divine. There are so many things that are written in the Torah that kosher animals, things like that, that only God would have been able to write that. No human being would ever have been able to write it with that kind of prophecy, because it would have been crazy to actually think and predict that. This type of thing, it hit me this year. In every generation, there are going to be those that will rise up against the Jewish people to destroy us. If I'm living now, 2021, and I go back through every single generation, history will show that this is true. History will show that in every single generation, there has been those, whether it's an entire country, whether it's a group of people, that have actually tried to destroy us. So for the Haggadah to write, again, the Haggadah was written thousands of years ago. For the Haggadah to write that in every generation, well, how do you know? How do you know what's going to be in every generation? Look in every single generation, and this is exactly what has happened, but God has saved us. The Jewish people are still here. It's a true testimony to God and what is written here.
Amazing. Yashiko, thank you, Rabbi. Okay. Vihisha Amda. At the very end, well, I think in general we sing the song, but I think it's very, like you said, Rabbi, there's a lot of very emotional aspects for that paragraph. And we should just sing the song. We should really understand, appreciate what we're saying every year, especially 2021. Okay, and finally, the Seder Song Conference number 2 seed is Ma Nishtana. The famous 4 questions that we force, just joking, we hopefully our youngest child who's able to sing is encouraged to do that. Rabbi, did you have to get up on a chair? How was your experience? I don't want it to have any,
I did. I used to sing Ma Nishtana, but you know what? I'll tell you. So before we knew it was going to be my grandfather's last Pesach, my father's father. So he grew up in Lithuania. So I was 9 years old. I learned the Ma Nishtana in Yiddish.
Really? You still know it?
Yeah, Tate for die Fragen. That's I could do a little bit, but I'll tell you. So the next year,
debatable.
The next year when I was back in Savannah, so we were at a family friend for the Seder. So the grandfather at the Seder clearly knew Yiddish. So I had a problem with pronouncing salt water, right? In Yiddish, it's Salzwasser. But I kind of said it not so I'm a little scarred from that. when I like Salzwasser, whatever, I ended up just saying salt water, and so my Yiddish ended with that. But
got it. So Manishtana, and Manishtana is going up against Avadim Mayinu, that we were slaves in Egypt. And Rabbi always hit me by Manishtana, that there are the 4 questions, and Avadim Mayinu is the answer. But sometimes, Rabbi, I've been at Seders, and mine included, and even myself, the question is, why is this night different than all other nights? All other nights, we eat chametz or matzah, and tonight, only matzah. And the question is, why is tonight different than all other nights? But I feel that many people sing the song, and myself included at times, that we're not asking, why is this night different than all nights? The way we're singing the song is almost, how is this night different than all the nights? And how is it different? Well, it's different because in all the nights we eat matzah or chametz, and tonight only matzah. And they almost sing Shebachol Halelos as an answer to a question of how. But really, that's not true. Right? The question is, why is this night different than all nights? And these are examples on why they are different. And the question is, why? And the child, usually the custom has become, it wasn't for naught, where the child is the one asking these questions. We are putting these crazy, random, weirdo things all over the place. It's one big, random evening of all kinds of stuff that is never on the table. And we're encouraging the children, and even our inner child, to ask the questions of what is going on here. Why? Why the chametz? Why the maror? Why the leaning? Why the
dipping?
I was making sure you were still listening to me. Okay, dipping. Why the dipping, right? Why are we doing all these things not once, but twice? And it's a question. But I guess the question is, Rabbi, what is the question?
Meaning?
What is the question of why is this night different than other nights?
We're doing so many different, like you mentioned, we're doing so many different things at the Seder.
Right,
we're dipping, first of all, okay, I guess maybe dipping vegetables in salt water, maror, and charoses, not necessarily that, but they would dip. So I dip French fries in ketchup. That's what I only dip, but 2 different types of dippings, that's something that is not so common. Or I don't usually recline when I eat. Now, we don't do that nowadays, but even back then, they would recline, but not twice. It's just we do so many things different. So we're asking why. A lot of what we do is to pique the curiosity of the children.
Right. I once heard also, Rabbi, if you think about it, there's really, think about for a second, what are the differences? One thing is matzah. The next thing is maror. The next thing is leaning. And the next thing is dipping. So matzah and maror are really symbolisms of slavery, right? You have matzah, you have maror. Maror is the bit of herbs. Matzah is the poor man's bread, the bread that we left when we were slavery. And the dipping and the leaning are freedom. And really, throughout the Seder, you have this contradiction. Are we dipping? Are we celebrating our freedom? Are we experiencing our slavery? What's going on here? And for the children to look around as we eat this maror, we're crying our brains off. At the same time, we're leaning as we drink our wine. So a child looks around, he says, Manishtana, what in the world is going on here? Are you slaves? Are you free? What are you doing? You're acting like a slaver. You're taking this bread, this matzah, this poor man's bread, but then you're drinking this wine, 4 cups. Why? Which leads to the answer. The answer is Avadim Hayinu. Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu, Levaro B'Mitzrayim, B'Mitz. I'm stalling to get the English.
No, we were slaves.
So, right. I think where am I going here? I'm all backwards.
It says as follows. I got some English here. It says, we used to be slaves to Paro in Egypt.
Yes.
But Hashem, our God, reached out his strong arm and took us out from there. If God had not saved us from Egypt, all of us, even our children and grandchildren, would still be slaves to Paro. So even if we are very smart and know the Torah, it is a mitzvah for us to tell about the miracles that happened when the Jews left Egypt. The more someone tells about it, the more they deserve to be praised.
Right. I think the answer is kind of what we alluded earlier by the matzah, really, and the process. Where, yeah, we were slaves. We were slaves 210 years in Egypt, but we were meant free. And that's why we do both. Okay, on to the third conference. The third conference, we're going to save the food for last. Because if I start talking about food right now, I'm going to get hungry. So everything else, I think, Rabbi, the timing of this, it looks like what we're going to do, by the way, just a programming note. What do they call it? It's a program. What am I thinking of, Rabbi?
Not sure.
Programming announcement. That right now it's about 8:05. I think what we're going to do, Rabbi, we're going to, after we go through the bracket, we're going to leave the polls open, and we're going to maybe either I'll come back tomorrow night. I know you're busy, Rabbi. We'll come back throughout the day tomorrow to maybe announce the winners, and we'll see if we'll redo this tomorrow night. I see everybody join on Facebook. We're going to go to 8:30 tonight. Hopefully we're going to get through the rest of these brackets, and then we'll see what's going on in the next 24 hours. Okay, everything else Seder conference. Number one is dipping, which you already alluded to. Obviously, it's number one seed. Dipping is pretty up there, but it's going against, Rabbi, a pretty, there's potential upset here, Rabbi. You know, potential upset. The number 8 seed is the Shechianu and the Hallel. The Shechianu, I think, Rabbi, for a little bit of a serious moment here, you know, if we really take a moment to think about like where we are nowadays in last year Passover, last year Pesach, like right in the beginning of the craziness of COVID, and like this year where many people have been able to be vaccinated, the miracles, and we're able to travel. And I think in many homes this year, Rabbi, I think when we get to the Shechianu, when we say where in the Shechianu, I want to make sure I just have it the proper English, not to just try to do it from memory, because sometimes when I go from memory, it never goes well. But when a person gets to the Shechianu and they say, "Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive and sustained us and brought us to this festive season." If that doesn't resonate in everybody's heart and soul on this year Passover, we have to be mindful more than ever. We always should have intent by blessings. Intent is always so important. When we say the words in Hebrew, when we say the word, if we don't know the Hebrew, we look at the English. But this year, when it comes to Shechianu, when you sit around the table with family or friends, and before you even start the Kiddush, to think about the blessing that we have. When you mentioned Dayenu, right? Every year we had Passover, we had Pesach every year. It was a given. And all of a sudden, it wasn't. So this year we go in to say pay Passover this year, appreciate the opportunity, because crazy stuff can happen and you won't have Passover with your family. Such a thing has happened before, very recently in our future. So it could be a little bit of a mistake by the committee to put Shechianu at number 8 against dipping. I'm sorry for dipping. Dipping's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're messing up with the vote. What about me? What about me?" Sorry, dipping. This is we gotta do what we gotta do. That's the 8 seed. Number 4 seed.
Really nice thought, Rabbi. Really nice.
I appreciate it. Number 4 seed versus number 5 seed. Number 4 seed is the 10 plagues versus the 4 sons. It's a little bit of a interesting matchup. 4 sons versus 10 plagues. 10 plagues.
Yeah, we're going to show the 10 plagues.
All you. What do you got with 10 plagues?
Well, so I was 10 plagues in a way, they are self-explanatory in the sense that they are miracles that have never happened, never will happen ever again. But they are miracles where God displayed, you think that the world is run by nature? I'm going to show you that I control nature. where fire and water can mix together and nothing happens. Water and blood, two opposites in terms of liquid, can be together. Things where animals differentiated between people, so many different aspects where God toyed with nature and displayed that he was in control of every single thing. But when it comes to the four sons, there's always something that I found very beautiful, which is we have all four sons. We have the wise son, the wicked son, the simple son, and the one who is unable to ask. And many might say that, all right, the wicked son, well, why is he really included? Why are we talking about him at the Seder? He's not really pro the Seder. He's not really wanting to be involved whatsoever. Read his question. He's not including himself. He's saying that's for you. This is nothing to do with me. But we give an intro to these four sons as Baruch HaMakom. We bless God for giving us the Torah, and the lesson is that the Torah is for everyone. There's no such thing as ignoring the wicked. There's no such thing as ignoring someone as you're not learned. You're someone who doesn't associate. The Torah is for everybody. Judaism is for everybody, no matter how you may feel about yourself, no matter what others. We don't disassociate. Everybody is included, which is why, interesting, it says in the response to the wicked person that we blunt his teeth, which I always sound like, why are we punching the person? Why are we blunting his teeth? And I saw something beautiful along these lines as well. It's not that we're actually physically going to punch him, but the same way that, if you've ever watched a child when they lose teeth, they struggle to eat certain foods, right? When they're lacking teeth, certain foods are, but when they try to bite into it or chew or whatever, it doesn't go so smooth. They miss their top two, the bottom two. It's just like...
Had some experience with this, Rabbi, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I see a lot. They're chewing on the side. The lesson is blunting the teeth is the same way that you need all your teeth for your mouth to function properly. Missing some, even one, is not going to work the same. So too, we as the Jewish people, we need every single person. There's not one that is never not included. So the wicked son is there to say, everybody is part of the Jewish people. The Torah is for everybody. The same way we blunt his teeth to teach that message. You ever lost a tooth? Your mouth's not going to work the same. So too, you are part of the Jewish people. We're not going to work the same without you.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Four sons. So that's, again, it's the 4 seed for the 5 seed. And we're up to the 3 seed. Hang on 1 second, Rabbi. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Number 3 seed is the breaking of the matzah. Yachatz. Breaking of the matzah is number 3 seed. Verse number 6, sandwich, korech. Korech sandwich we do after we have matzah. The Gemara, we do like that of Hillel, the famous H. Hillel. If you want to know a little bit of Hillel, you can listen back to Mishnah Monday. We started talking about Hillel and Shammai. Little plug there. And yeah, the korech sandwich. Kind of random, Rabbi. I always wonder about the korech sandwich. Like, okay, so Hillel did it differently. Like, I don't know, good for Hillel.
He put the two together. Some say you got to eat them together. So we're fulfilling that opinion to eat it together.
Awesome. Okay.
But it's interesting. I'll just say quickly, because we mentioned it before with the stealing of the afikomen. So what do we steal? You break the matzah. The bigger piece goes towards the afikomen. So right when the person breaks the matzah, they put it in their bag. The kids try to steal it, so then they can bargain for their prize. Where did this custom come from that we steal the matzah? It just seems so antithesis of Judaism.
Doesn't sound like something we want to teach our children. Hey, guess what? There's this really important thing called the matzah. Go steal it.
Correct. So there actually are. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky and others they did not do this custom.
Oh, interesting.
They did not do this custom because, again, they didn't like the word stealing the afikomen. It was a lack of truth. We don't promote that. But nevertheless, it's been a custom throughout. So it's interesting. Makos Bechoros, the death of the firstborn. So the Torah mentions a specific thing that seems random, that no dogs barked that day.
No.
When the angel of death came into the city, no dogs barked.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Dogs can sense the presence of the angel of death, right? Why didn't they bark? It was a miracle. The fact that they didn't bark. When the angel of death comes into town, they sense it, they bark. They didn't bark that day. To remember that miracle, that God controlled it, where the dogs went against their nature. What are dogs used for? Obviously, they're man's best friend. They provide great company. But many times, you ever see, like, on your backyard, on the fence, there'll be a sign that says, beware of
I
dogs.
have one on my fence.
You have it on your fence, but you don't have a dog. It's a deterrent, right? It's a deterrent. Beware of dog. It's a deterrent. If the dogs aren't barking, is there a deterrent? There is no deterrent.
Uh-huh.
You could steal. You could go ahead and steal. So we steal the afikomen to remind us of the miracle that happened when God, when the angel of death came to kill all the firstborns. We are reminded of the fact that the dogs did not bark, which prevent stealing.
Beautiful. Amazing. So finally, we have over here the final thing of everything else Seder. We have number 2, which is reclining. Verse number 7, Salzwasser. Salzwasser. So salt water. 2, reclining. 7, salt water. We kind of already mentioned this earlier about the reclining. How many times do we recline in the Seder, Rabbi? Pop quiz. We recline by the matzah. By the way, I already love my family. If you've ever had a Seder with somebody, because the different amounts of matzah that I eat. So, and we recline during the matzah. So you'll find me like this, and it's really, I'm like, I look like I'm struggling. I'm actually having that first matzah bite, Rabbi. Is that not the most like underrated best moment?
Oh, it is. It is great.
Year, right? It's like you're starving. You've done so much the whole week. You've gone to the first Seder. The matzah's there. You're uncovering it. You're covering it. You see it, and finally, you sit there. And even though it's like crunch, then you get it's crunchy. Is it stale? This is good matzah. This is bad matzah. Oh, it's better. It's thinner. It's thick. It's medium. But you just crunch through that matzah, and it just goes down. So I'm there leaning back. Rabbi, I don't know if we want to tell whoever's out there, just maybe close your ears. If you don't recline or don't lean while you eat the matzah, you might have to eat all the matzah again.
If you don't want to be the bad guy, you got to eat the matzah again.
Okay, he said it, not me.
You got to recline.
You have to realize you're free. You're free. Enjoy it. Sit back. Oh, it's not proper. Guess what? I'm a king. I'm free. I don't have to be proper. Oh, I got crumbs all over my shirt. Guess what? Kings get crumbs over their shirt. They don't mind. Now, kings maybe don't have to clean up later. You have to clean up later. Okay, guess what? You're the king, but you're not the king of the house. So always good to know. Is that reclining? Another reclining is by the wine. Very important to recline by the wine. Lean to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right.
We lean to the left.
To the left. Cool thing, right? I think you've heard this earlier. Even lefties, I believe, sometimes lefties do opposite as righties, but even lefties lean to the left.
Right.
And it's a cool thing, I think, right? It has to do with the valve in our throat. There's a certain valve, right? There's like two, like ever go down the wrong pipe? Like, it's like annoying, like, are you okay? Yeah, I went down the wrong pipe. It's kind of crazy, Rabbi, that like you can like put something on the wrong pipe,
right?
Like the air pipe, but like Hashem's like, okay, like I'll cough and you'll be okay. Like, okay, there's a wrong pipe, but there's a valve that's supposed to go back and forth. The cover, you remember when you swallow? Why is it whenever you swallow the food, generally, hopefully speaking, always goes down the right pipe? There's two pipes there. Air, and when I go down, it always food. There's a valve, miracles of the body. There's a valve that covers it, but in fact, it goes to the left. So you go like this, it actually covers the valve, and we drink to the left. Amazing. You go to the right, you probably be able to do it, but you might choke.
Yes, we recline. You said we recline with the matzah, with the wine, and the korech, and the afikomen. So matzah eating and the wine.
Right. Awesome. Okay, Rabbi, we're about 8:20. We're about to start the Passover Food Conference. We're going to see if anybody wants to hop on in. We're going to post it right now on the live feed in the comment section. Anybody? Oh, it looks like we already got somebody joining in here. Let's hold on one second. Oh,
So you know what? Oh, hey Howard, how are you?
It is. Hello, Howard. How are you?
All right, I'm live. Am I live? Am I in?
You're in. You're live. You're in. You're on the next. Listen, this is not as big of a game show as what was the one you did before? I forgot what it was. Who's the one? The one? Who's the
Chosen one.
The chosen
Who knows one?
It's not exactly the chosen one, but I think this is a little bit more exciting. I'm not sure. So if anybody's watching right now live on Facebook, there's a link of the Zoom if you want to join in.
I have one question real quick. So for Rabbi Snaid, we're getting close. I assume you're going to be heading down to Augusta after Passover. Is that right? Because are you playing this year?
I am along with Gary Player, Jack Nicholas, they have added me as an honorary starter.
Amazing.
I'm going to bless the tournament.
Baruch Hashem, 280 down the middle.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, Howard. We're about to start here the Passover Food Conference.
I'm on Team Chop Liver.
Did you hear that?
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. When you join,
Rabbi, can I mention a snub here for the food?
Yes, please.
I'm just going to quickly mention a snub. I want to see if anybody feels the same way.
Yeah.
I don't drink soda throughout the whole year, but for some reason, when it comes to Passover, everyone goes crazy. I need to have Passover soda. You don't drink it the whole year, but when it comes to Passover, it's like, I need to have the Coke with the yellow bottle. Does anyone else feel the same? I mean, like,
I'll tell you something, Rabbi. That's what Howard is a fascinating thing. I had an English teacher in high school. He wasn't Jewish, but he would stock up on the Passover soda because he said it tasted better because they don't use corn syrup. Why is it kosher, right? Because usually there's corn syrup. What happened? What happened?
She's over here.
It's like the Dublin Dr. Pepper.
Look,
It's like the Dublin Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper. It doesn't have, it has sugar. They replace it with something else. So he used to stock up. He's like, and he was a little bit of a fascinating dude. I got Passover soda. You guys stock up in Passover?
By the way, she was the one that said in the background earlier, chop liver.
Chop liver. Okay, we'll get to it. So the first thing, Howard, we're going to debate this one. We're going to skip to that one right now. We're going to get right now to the 3 seed versus the 6 seed.
Let's hear it.
3 seed is gefilte fish.
Yeah.
And the 6 seed is chopped liver. Now, Lisa, I want to tell you, I've always said, Rabbi Snaid, you've heard this before. There are certain things in life where people either love it or they hate it. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Either love it or they hate it, right? Chocolate chip cookies, you might love it, you might like it, you might be okay with it, you might hate it, but
certain are good, certain not so good, certain okay.
Right?
You find a pinch.
But cheesecake, either you love cheesecake and all you want to do is eat cheesecake. Like if there's like all the desserts in the world and there's like a cheesecake, or Rabbi, you like cheesecake, right? You see a cheesecake, all you want to do is eat cheesecake. But if you don't like cheesecake, you're not touching it. I'll taste it. Oh, sure. Cheesecake or chocolate cake? Oh, I'm not sure. I like cheesecake, like chocolate. No. You're not going near the cheesecake. Chopped liver is the same thing. You don't find somebody who's like, you know what? Okay, maybe I'll have some chopped liver. Why not? It's okay. No.
So,
yeah,
I'm going to jump in because I'm going to play the role probably of a little bit more of a Jay Billis here because I'm going to tell you that gefilte fish is so overrated. So at a 3 seed, gefilte fish is so overrated at a 3 seed.
Right.
I feel like it should be like a 12, maybe a 14. I mean, because you just said there's a love-hate relationship with gefilte fish, right? And when you're like a 7 or 8-year-old kid, and your parents look at you and go, "Here, eat this,"
Yeah.
and you're afraid it's going to jump off the plate at you into your mouth before you can get a fork in it,
Yeah.
it becomes like a fear issue. You know, chopped liver you can hit. You know, and a 6 seed, chopped liver is a gimme.
Yeah, it's a gimme, right? It's a little bit of a committee, right? You're gonna be upset with the committee about that. You know, I think, you know, the only reason why I think the committee chose gefilte fish to go number 3 is because there are those who made and still made and remember their homemade gefilte fish. And there's one person you don't want to mess with is homemade gefilte fish person.
I would agree that gefilte fish is probably running on tradition right now as far as its seating goes.
Right.
And look, Rabbi Snaid, he's shaking his head. He knows where I'm coming from.
Well, which gefilte fish are you talking about? Are you talking about like the homemade that I love? Are you talking about the jarred jelly gefilte fish? That's just, you know, it goes on the shelf as like, this is what our forefathers ate, and we'll keep it as that.
Right. It's amazing. All right. That is the 3 and 6 seed. What else, Howard? Yeah, you go chopped liver. But I'm a lover of chopped liver. I
love chopped liver.
My better half, again, she's one that will get in there, make chopped liver, you know, the homemade chopped liver, and it's not necessarily ever been my favorite.
Right.
But when it comes to a 3 seed and a 6 seed, that 6 seed if you're saying a 3 and a 6 seems like about a 6 to 8 point spread. This is like chopped liver in a 25-point runaway.
Well, look, you know what? I kind of feel sometimes when you fill out a bracket with the NCAA tournament, so you always got to pick a 12 over a 5, at least one. There's always, I kind of feel like the committee says, you know what? This 12 really should be a 4, but we're going to put them as a 12 so they can just run with it.
You know what?
Right. You know, I love it.
I'm actually going to actually look right now. I'm just curious where the polling is right now when it comes to the gefilte fish, because I think you might have to,
Well, here's what I'm going to say. If you're getting the polling by age, 45 and under, heavy on the chopped liver.
Heavy on the chopped liver, right? Really?
55 and over, super strong on the gefilte fish.
I disagree. I think chopped liver is a thing of the past.
I will take now.
I disagree 100%. I think chopped liver is our grandparents, and that's what we had. Our Bubby had it for the holidays, and nobody 45 or under is making their own chopped liver anymore.
No.
Here's the last thing I'll say. Now, I think there needs to be a caveat because you know how like Georgia Tech, they lost the ACC Player of the Year, and so of course they got bounced in the first round. So if you're telling me that next to the gefilte fish, I can just smother it in horseradish,
yeah,
then
that's very important. That's a very important point.
If I can smother it in horseradish, I can probably choke a couple bites down. But otherwise, I'm going to have to go definitely chopped liver over gefilte fish.
100%. And right now the polling shows that in fact chopped liver is in the lead. So right now it's in the lead. It has a lot of potential. And so we'll see where it goes. We're going to keep the polls open. There are going to be maybe a couple of people joining us here in the Zoom for a little bit longer. I know, Howard, I appreciate you hopping in here. Lisa, I was hoping you'd come with, because that's the only reason why I invited Howard.
That's right. Because you just want the chef to come along, especially in a food fight. Have a wonderful Passover to everyone. Please.
Thank you so much for joining. Okay.
See ya.
Okay, right now, also, Rabbi, as you sign out, I want to bring somebody else on to take you to the rest of the food. It's going to be my one and only sister from Dallas, Texas. First of all, I'm going to just sign out here, Rabbi Snaid. I know you got to read 8:30.
No, thank you for hosting. Thank you for joining. This was great. I would love to see the polls. Have a wonderful Passover. Everybody healthy, happy, safe Passover. And I look forward to hear all your takeaways from the food conference, especially from the renowned chef that's about to come on.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Rabbi. I really appreciate this. We'll do this again sometime in the future.
That's it. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, with that, I'd like to bring on, if she can come on, I think she's in the waiting room. Hashtag Chef Jordana Cone. Her camera's not there. Hello. Say hello to Louisville.
Hello, Louisville.
Hello. This is famous, world-renowned influencer. Hashtag Jordana of the Market Comfort Cafe. Market Comfort. Did I do that right?
Why not?
Why not? So we're bringing you on here, Jordana, as a food expert. We've already knocked down one of these things. We have 3 more now to debate here. We did just nail the gefilte fish, which was the 3 seed. It's 1 to 8, 1 being the highest, 8 being the lowest. And no, well, you are live on Facebook, but
Don't mind my kid just walking by.
You're always live. It's all good. So the 1 seed to the 8 to the 8 seed. So we did the 3-6. 3 seed is gefilte fish, and the 6 seed was chopped liver.
Is the gefilte fish the one like room temperature in a jar, congealed goodness?
We left it kind of vague, and we had the conversation just before, not to get into it too much, but chopped liver 3 seed is pretty high. But I told them I have to be careful. The committee, I should say, had to be careful about the homemade gefilte fish people, because the homemade gefilte fish people like their gefilte fish. And I never personally had homemade gefilte fish.
You haven't?
I never had homemade, like the
Yes, of course you have.
grind gefilte fish.
Yes. Well, my mom used to make it with Aunt Janie.
I don't remember. I do remember that, but I don't remember eating it. Perhaps
You ate it.
I ate it.
Obviously, that memorable.
Oh my gosh, maybe that's why. But either way, so that was the 3 and 6 seed. We're going to start now for number 1 and number 8. Number 1 is matzo ball soup.
Yeah, it's classic.
Ball soup, and 8 going against number 8 seed macaroons.
Yeah. It's like Jewish filling.
What about the chocolate chip macaroons?
No.
What about the chocolate covered macaroons?
No. There's a reason only available one time a year when you have to eat them, because there's nothing else.
Nothing else, right?
Matzo ball, you literally don't have to eat all year, and you do. It's so good.
So you're a fan of the macaroons.
I like macaroons, but you can't put it against matzo ball
What
soup.
are macaroons made out of?
Coconut.
Coconut. Now, there's a different type of macaroon out there that
Right. The French macaroon.
French macaroons. They seem like they would taste a little bit better.
They're better, and they're way more complicated to eat. I wonder if they're kosher based off. Technically, it's almond. No, but flour in it also. But they're like very fancy.
Very fancy. Okay.
And not like our coconut stuff.
Coconut stuff. That is the perfect word to use for a macaroon.
Almond Joy and Mound, the candy?
Yeah.
That's a macaroon covered in chocolate.
That's why I don't eat them when they're in the mixed bag.
Oh my God.
Okay. So anyway, again, everybody, for the polls right now, you go to my Instagram or Facebook story. All the polls are there. We're going to have the polls open all throughout the night. Tomorrow, we're going to come back and we're going to advance in the next round. And we're going to see if we'll start this back up again tomorrow night. Okay, number 4 seed versus number 5 seed. Number 4 seed is matzo brie.
Ooh, I love. Wait, the sweet or the savory one?
However you do your what is a sweet matzo brie?
With the sugar and jelly?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. What's savory one? Actually, that's a better question.
With like mushrooms and onion and pepper.
Okay, you just took matzo brie to the next. That was not the matzo brie. That's not the matzo brie I grew up on.
Or there's the matzo brie.
What?
There's the pizza matzo brie.
That's going against matzo pizza.
I know, but I'm saying you can put the
matzo. Ooh, I don't know. You're making this way too confusing. Why you got to make this all up? I think we just left Jordana. Oh, you're there. Okay, so we got 4 matzo brie versus 5. Oh, round or square matzah. Oh, Yuli wants to know round or square matzah. That is a great question.
How
Round
often do you make a matzah on a round matzah?
What?
To make a round pizza matzah.
Right. How do you do that? Well, matzah pizza, I'm pretty sure in your home, probably there's a big debate on matzah pizza versus matzah brie. So 4 seed is matzah brie, 5 seed is matzah pizza. It's a tough matchup. It's a solid 4-5 matchup there. What to do? And finally, we're going to do this right now. Number 2 versus number 7. Number 2 is Bubby's brisket. And I know you and I had a Bubba, and I'm not sure if she had a brisket, but there's a Bubby's brisket, the brisket, Passover brisket. Verse number 7, the one, the only, Manischewitz.
Oh, Manischewitz. What?
Manischewitz, right? The iconic. That's it. Also, you have to put into, you know, to understand that there's a certain iconicness to the Manischewitz, right? People cannot have Manischewitz all year round. All kinds of different wines. You can have Kedem, you know, all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to Passover, you get the Manischewitz.
Why?
I don't know the taste, the Manischewitz. It's the wine that our ancestors took with them out of Egypt.
Is it?
Probably not. But I imagine if they had wine, it would be Manischewitz.
I feel like that's a great call. Manischewitz and macaroons. That and Twinkies will always be around.
Right? Armageddon, Manischewitz will last. Amazing wine versus the brisket. So clearly the brisket, probably people will go over that. It's another thing. Passover brisket. I'm not really sure why brisket became a Passover food.
Because it was the potted meat.
Oh,
And
look at that.
It's
That's right.
it was also the cheap cut meat.
What happened?
It was also the cheaper cut of meat.
The brisket was.
Yeah.
But when did that turn not the cheaper cut of meat?
When it became the most popular thing to make.
Fascinating. Did not know that. So that is the foods. Is there any foods here that were snubbed that you would say deserve to be in this tournament? But
for Passover?
Passover foods. It's called the Passover Food Conference. It's not the
like Dr. Brown Black Cherry.
Wow.
Chocolate lollipops.
Wow. I have to end this. Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to think.
Oh,
jelly half
jelly.
orange.
Oh my gosh, this is a disaster. Oh my gosh. What was the first one you said? What was the first one you said?
The first one I said now?
Yeah, oh, Dr. Brown's. That is clearly
Dr. Brown's Black Cherry.
Oh, that's a horrible oversight. Oh my gosh, I am so ashamed.
I'll take your rabbi card after the Zoom, but that's
oh, Dr. Brown, the chocolate.
Dr. Brown. I'm trying to think with real like old bazooka gum. But that's like only because that's the only time mom would let us have it.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, this is a little rough. Anyway, so we're going to hold it here. I want a big thank you. I think I've been trying to ask once. I'm going to put on the spot right now. I've been trying to ask my sister to maybe have a little bit of a demo, a cooking demo for us here down in Israel.
We're going to make macaroons and brisket with Manischewitz.
Manischewitz. Oh, delicious. We're going to try to get something later on in the year. Really excited. I want to thank you for hopping on. We sign out.
Chag Sameach.
All the best and enjoy. Where's Winston there? Hi, Winston. Okay. Wait.
Say bye, Winston.
Goodbye. Okay, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. What an amazing time we had. Again, on my story, on my Instagram story, on my Facebook story, are all the polls. Please go there. Make your voices count. Make your vote count. Just because your March Madness bracket is busted doesn't mean your Passover Madness bracket has to be It is now live. We're going to have it live all night. We're going to update everybody tomorrow, and we'll reconvene again to see who wins this year's hashtag Passover Madness. I'm Rabbi Zack. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. All the best.